Hello, honest warriors. So I want to talk about something really important. This is I'm not a doctor, right? I learn from doctors, and then I share the information that I learn with you guys. And what I've noticed is that the information from my early videos, I wanted to verify, is this information still good? Or should I be taking down these videos? Because people keep saying that keto is a fad diet, and then we have all this information that I'm learning, and I'm not a doctor, so I want to make sure that whatever I have out there is good for you guys. And if keto is still valid, which I think it is, then I should be able to show to you guys that the information is still working. Now, I want to point something out that the first time that the keto diet was talked about medically, from my understanding, was in 1921 in the treatment of epilepsy. I think that was the first time. But then in 1970, there was this like reemergence of keto being spoken about, like actually quite spoken about. And now we get that fad diet title put on it because there's a misunderstanding about how keto can be helpful to us, right? But the version of keto today is this absolutely healthy version. And that happened because since 1920 till today, doctors have actually been looking at it and revising it and gave us the better way to do a keto diet that would actually lead to us being healthy. So I'm going to show you some clips from my first video on keto that I put out ever. And I'm going to go through with you the parts that I think are still valid and the parts that I'm questioning myself on. This is not the whole video. It's linked below. You can go watch it if you want to. But this, I just want you guys to be able to see that I do change what I say because I'm trying to give you the best information. So let's look at what I used to say. As Jason Fung pointed out,
you're hungry because your body is increasing the ghrelin. You're decreasing your metabolism. You're not burning it off. That sets you up. It says you don't get fat because you're overeating. You're overeating because you're getting fat, right? Which sets you up for the proper question, what's making you get fat? If you try to treat it as a caloric deficiency and you say that it's a personal choice, you're going to fail, right? If you understand that this is a disease which is related to insulin, then you understand why you treat it the way we do. So what raises insulin the most from a dietary standpoint? Refined carbohydrates, right? The sugars, the refined grains. What raises it the least? Natural fats, right? Olive oil, avocado.
So what I love about this first clip is that I was focusing on the calories. And he's focusing on the calories. And if you are paying attention, you'll see that there's in the image, he's talking about how they're distracting us from the real hormone issue. And that's what focusing on calories does. And I struggle to find a way to help wellness warriors put down looking at calories and really focus on the hormones and what's impacting the hormones, which is the carbohydrates. And, something that I hear a lot is, well, if we don't talk about the calorie count, then how do people know how much energy they should be eating? And the thing that I feel is being missed there is that when I focus on the macros, I can still talk about the amount of energy that we're eating. For my lean body mass, how much protein, which is the building blocks, do I need? How much carbohydrates do I need? Well, we know that's 0, but at least under 20. And then how much fat do I need to energize me and to build me? Because fat does both. So I need to get an ample amount of fat in. And when we start talking about calories, one of the huge issues that I have is that I've seen a lot of people when they're trying to reintroduce calories because they realize that maybe they're not eating enough, which can happen when you're doing a healthy lifestyle and you're only eating healthy things. And we've been so taught to restrict what we're eating. If I'm still eating the smallest amount of lean protein on my healthy keto way of eating, yes, I'm going to be under eating. Now, the solution isn't to add more carbs, which is unfortunately what I see a lot of people mistakenly do. It's so much easier to add carb. And when we're talking about calories, what does our mind tell us? I can't eat more fat, and so I add carbohydrates. I want us to be able to pay attention to what's actually going to help us do the best for ourselves. And in paying attention to the calories, we're not looking at what's going to help us to do the best for ourselves. So I know this one is a hard one for a lot of people to put their mind around, but I love the fact that from day one, my video starts with, because that's one of the first clips from the video, me pointing out that Dr. Fung is pointing us at carbohydrates, that Dr. Fung is pointing at us away from calories. Because he was the person who reminded me that our body understands carbohydrates. There is no calorie receptor. So, and the unspoken accusation that we're lazy and we're not trying, and all the negative things, right? That we are just gluttons we're not trying to lose weight. When I can tell you for a fact, I was trying to lose weight when I was trying to lose weight, until I stopped trying to lose weight because I thought there was nothing I could ever do to lose weight. So I got pulled into despair. All right. And it definitely allowed my weight to continue to rise because I didn't understand that it was a hormone problem. I didn't understand that it was a carbohydrate problem. The other idea I want to talk about is calories in, calories out. Basically, no matter what you do, as long as you have a calorie deficit, then you're going to lose weight and it's going to be fine. I think one of the things that we're very short-sighted in is that, for example, if I eat a cookie, it's not the same thing as if I eat some bacon, for example. The macronutrients in a cookie and the macronutrients in bacon is not the same. Even if I eat 100 calories of cookie and 100 calories of bacon, what it does in my body is not the same. So my insulin response to a cookie is very different than my insulin response to bacon, which is important because our insulin response determines what happens to the calories that we eat. Do they get stored, or are they free to be used readily, available readily at that point in time? I find it kind of hard to hear myself say calories so much. First of all, I'm just going to throw that out there because you'll notice I don't say calories very often anymore when I'm talking about something that I've eaten. That was a little bit tough, I have to admit. But the insulin response determining what happens to whatever food you eat, I think is a huge part of going back to calories don't matter, right? But also pointing us towards what insulin is doing is super important. And the fact that our body is going to decide that we cannot tell our body what to do. No matter how much I want to be able to eat 100 calories worth of cookie and have my body use that energy right away, your body's not going to do it. It's not going to do it because it's not supposed to do it. And I think that I'm really pleased to see that that was in the first video that I ever put up. Let's look at the next clip. What people ignore is that when we eat carbohydrate heavy foods, then our storage is turned on right away. And therefore we are storing majority of the calories that we're taking in. So this idea that calories in, calorie out is the answer, again, it's a fallacy because we are very aware that we can eat high calorie foods that have more fats in them and use that energy right away. So therefore just not store that energy compared to when we eat high calorie foods or even just regular calorie foods that are carbohydrate based and most of that gets stored. Ooh, okay. So this is one of those sections where, not really sure where my mind was, but our body stores what we eat, right? So when we eat carbs, of course, our insulin skyrockets. And so therefore, everything that's coming in gets stored. And then, of course, the problem with that is that our body is now looking for energy because it sent us out to get it. And we brought it sugar and it had to store that to keep us safe. And now, so there's a confusion there for our body. And it's like, no, no, go get me something. That made sense. But the part that I feel like I have to clarify here is that when we eat protein and fat and carbohydrates, protein, fat, and carbohydrates are getting stored. If we eat just protein and fat, some of that still gets stored. So I don't think there's a scenario that I will eat something and it will be used immediately because it has to be processed. I feel like I was a little bit confused there in that the reason I'm saying that we're so hungry immediately is only about fat storage. I don't think it's only about fat storage. I think it's mostly about our insulin being raised to the extent that now my body isn't able to manage at that moment. And so it's putting the sugar away, the energy away. Let's word it that way. It puts the energy away. And in putting the energy away, I'm now in the situation where my body is struggling because I don't have energy to use and it needs me to go get more. So that roller coaster, it's harder for my body to take energy out of sugar storage than it is for my body to take energy out of fat storage. So the putting it in and taking it out happens more easily. So its ability to be used for building blocks and its ability to be used for energy is more fluid, if I understand what Dr. Fung and the other doctors helped me to understand. So I feel like I was too focused on carbs just being stored as fat and not recognizing or allowing for space that everything can be stored and will be stored at certain points. And if you overeat anything, your body's going to store it. So that's just an automatic. Okay, so there's so much talk out there about fats being bad. And I think one of the things that we've learned over the course of the last few years, and again, there's so many people talking about this, but the reason I'm talking about it is that from psychologically, we've grown up, at least I know my generation grew up being told that fats can make you fat. And now everything has shown that that's not the truth. By raising fats, at least in my diet, my weight has become regulated. And yeah, I lost 80 plus pounds. And I say plus because at the beginning of my journey, I didn't think I was going to lose weight. I was trying to heal my hip. And I was being told you need to eat more fat. There was no part of my mind that thought that I was going to lose weight. So I didn't bother verifying what my weight was when I started. And I had already lost weight before I said, hey, let me jump on the scale. So I know I lost more than 80 pounds and I was eating more fat. So fat helped me to lose weight. But not only that, can I point out that 6.5 years later, I'm I'm at the weight that I'm at my goal weight, but I'm actually a little bit under my goal weight. So I haven't gained. Over the 6.5 years, I lost a little more and I didn't stop eating fat. As a matter of fact, I eat even more fat today than I was eating when I started my keto lifestyle because I didn't understand how much fat I really needed, how much protein I really needed. I need every wellness warrior to understand that the idea that fat makes you fat is such a huge smoke and mirrors, misdirection, lie, whatever you want to call it, that they're putting on us to stop us from getting our health back. And so I'm happy to see that that was in that video. I had that one right. Not only do we need to understand that fats are not bad, we need to understand which fats are not bad. Yes, vegetable oil is not great for you. Yes, you know, peanut oils, and the oils that are man-made are not good for you. But natural oils, for example, the fat that comes along with the meat that you eat, that's fine. The fats like olive oil, coconut oil, which are real oils, like these products actually have oils in them, avocado oil, these are fine. We need to know which oils are good to eat and then consume them. And we need to know which fats are good to eat and consume them. Like, for example, the fat that comes in your eggs is great for you. So, some corrections to be made here. First of all, I said seed oils are bad for you. That's the understatement of they're not just bad, they're toxic and inflammatory. And I'm a little bit surprised that I just called them bad because by the time I made this video, I had already seen Dr. Barry's video where he encouraged me to throw the seed oils away and not give them away, which I had given away all the foods that I had in my cupboard, but the oil I threw it away. So I'm surprised that I said that. That was a mistake even from day one. But I think it's to tell you how heart healthy on a label still lets us believe that it's not that bad. And I feel like I just seen it so many times that I had a hard time calling it toxic back then. Now, the other problem that I'm going to point out that I I only it took me I was rewatching when I saw this and I said, "Oh my goodness, that's actually a mistake." I said olive oil and coconut oil, and I will add avocado oil in there. I'm not sure if I said that one or not. Are okay and they're healthy. But my new understanding of oils is got me paused on that one. My personal experience with coconut oil, it caused my skin. So eating coconut oil, like cooking with it, caused me to have dry skin. And I only realized it because for a little while I got tired of the taste of coconut oil, took it out of my diet for a little while, and that problem went away. And then when I brought it back, the problem came back. So unfortunately, I started to understand. Well, unfortunately, it's unfortunate for me that it happened, that my skin was not, you know, my hands were not good anymore. And it took me a while to get that out of my system and like my hands to go back to looking normal. But the positive here for you guys is that I stopped telling you that avocado oil, coconut oil, that they're just as healthy as animal oils. These are naturally occurring oils in the world, so they're not as toxic as seed oils. But our body to build itself uses oils, uses fats. And so if we give it a plant oil, which doesn't have the same like makeup, like the structure is different in our skin, in our cells, it's not just the skin cells, it's all the cells, that oil is being incorporated. And if it doesn't have the right composition, the right structure, it's creating poor quality cells. And I'm happy that my hand showed me that there was a problem happening and that I was able to see the correction and pass this along to you. So that's a piece of information that I had a bit wrong, that I thought that those oils were good. One of the things again that I noticed is that, and just to talk, I'm going to go, but this kind of links back to the calories in, calories out idea. When I started to have my hip issue, which was about a year, I was just over a year and a half ago, I started to have my hip issue, and my first thought was, okay, well, maybe it was a weight issue because it was a hip issue. And I thought, okay, so, and I was overweight at the time. And not unhappy about being overweight because I wasn't that much overweight, but just I was overweight at the time. And I thought, okay, well, maybe if I lose some weight, my hip issue goes away. Okay, so I put this clip up because I just wanted to address the denial. 80 pounds overweight, and I'm saying in the video that I was a little bit overweight. Oh my gosh. So it's interesting to me though that after losing 80 pounds, and by the time I was making that video, I was still walking around with the image in my head of who I was that matched that person from 5 months ago. And so therefore, I think part of the reason that I was still talking about it like I was just a little bit overweight and not acknowledging that I was obese, because definition wise, I was obese. I was 80 plus pounds overweight. I think I was still in the middle of that negativity about, so all the emotional negatives that come along with being obese, with not being able to dress the way I want, not being able to use my body the way I want, not be able to do. So that was just a real eye opener for me, that by that point in my conversation about it, I was downplaying how much weight I actually had on my body, because I had quite a bit. Well, a lot of people eat emotionally. So it's interesting, because if I feel bad and then I turn around and I eat because I feel bad, there's an emotional connection to eating. The same way that if I celebrate by eating, there's an emotional connection to eating. So then my weight and my overweight is not strictly calories. And see, this is the whole idea that this calories in, calories out. Yes, that plays a huge role on some level, because of course, if I don't eat calories, I will just lose because I'm not eating anything. But at the same time, there's a bigger psychological something happening there, that if I eat because I'm happy, or I eat because I'm sad, or I eat because I'm bored, or if I'm eating emotionally, then I'm not actually paying any attention to the calories at all, am I? And now if I'm doing emotional eating, that means that probably what I am eating is more about the taste than about the nutrient value. Okay, so now we know that I might not be being that careful about what I'm putting in my mouth. Oh, I came into this video pushing the psychological hard. And I feel like, because we need to understand that our thoughts control everything we do. And I love that I said this in the first video, because if you only ever watched one video from me and that was the video, you got it. You have what you need to do. We self-soothe with food, but we celebrate with food. They're both two different types of emotional eating. I was saying it from day one. So the emotional eating needs to be addressed. That's the most important thing that I want everyone to understand from this. Focusing on calories stops us from solving the problem that we're living. So the emotional eating problem that we're living, we don't solve it when we focus on calories. Right? It stops us from addressing the junk food that we're eating, right? It stops us from looking at the fact that companies, movies, friends expect us to take care of ourselves with food, right? When we go to parties, holidays, even funerals, weddings, baptisms, cheer me up meals. If I'm feeling bad, my friend takes me out for it. They're all endorsed in our society, and they go against the keep calories low idea. So I wonder if we even see the contradiction, and how, like, the food industry has us, right? Focus on calories. Take care of yourself with food. The food you take care of yourself should be, fun tasting and sugary and sweet, but stay at your good weight. How is it both going to happen? And it's not both going to happen, right? But this is part of the trick. And we need to see it. So if I focus on solving the emotional eating part, and it's both sides, the celebrating and the self-soothing, then I get myself out of this situation, which is what I want each wellness warrior to be able to do. Get yourself out of the place where you're using food for comfort or celebration. Food is for building my body, fueling my body. Comfort comes from people, comes from massages and stuff, like, and self entertainment comes from fun activities, hobbies, and people. We need to change this and go to the thing. We need to go back to doing the things that naturally helped us to be good. I think for any person, you have this I can't give up attitude, and it sticks with you for a little bit. I'm a person, right? It was in my head that, like, At the beginning, I was feeling great. And then at some point, it crossed my mind. I was like, oh, I'm never going to eat these things again. And it was in my head a little bit until what happened? Well, guess what? I ate a starchy vegetable and I was woken in the middle of the night with joint pain that I hadn't felt in months. And guess what I learned? I'd rather not eat a starchy vegetable and feel good than eat a starchy vegetable and feel like this. And I feel like for every person on the planet, there's going to be your version of this somehow. If you allow yourself to get healthy and then tempt fate and go back to how you were eating before and feel like I felt bad, not even just a little bad, I felt horrible. It reminds you that that food wasn't helping you. Now, maybe you'll be one of the few that can go back and forth and feel nothing. That's terrific too. None of us are going to know until we try, right? But it's a myth to think that I can't give it up because trust me, I haven't had a cookie, I haven't had a chocolate bar. I gave it up, right? And if anyone knows me, they know that chocolate was my my kryptonite and I gave it up. So this goes back to that idea that society plays such a huge role. And there's kind of like both sides of this because I thought I wouldn't be able to live without cookies and, well, chocolate especially. There's no way I can do that. But then when I was faced with live with pain, okay, so I was able to make the decision that I would rather not eat chocolate and live without the pain. But I want to walk forward a little bit further from what I said there and point out that there's this idea that when I feel better, I should be able to go back and eat the garbage and not have a reaction. And I feel like in this video, I didn't clarify properly that when we eat better and feel better and heal our bodies, and our bodies, I was feeling great in that video. And that's why I was so sure I wasn't going to eat chocolate ever again. And I haven't. By the way, fast forward, I haven't had a chocolate bar, a chocolate bar in 6.5 years. And about after that video, even like chocolate flavored anything. So like, let's say, you can buy the salt that's chocolate flavored from Element, sorry, or like anything keto version of something that was chocolate flavored. All of that stuff I put down. For the last 4 years, I haven't had even chocolate flavored anything. Why? Because I started to understand that it's not about my body being able, so getting my body healthy enough to manage this stupidity. Because eating unhealthy food just pulls me back into the problem. So I realized that what it is getting your body healthy enough so that you can have fun doing other things and stop having fun with food. So now it brings me to the correction I want to make from what I said back in that video, which is that if you can go back and forth, terrific. No, it's not terrific. Something that we need to understand is that if I eat off plan and I don't gain weight and I don't have any physical pain, that doesn't mean that it's not harming my body. As a matter of fact, it could be even worse. Because if I don't feel the problem, that means that the problem that's brewing is internal and not touching any of my nerve receptors. Why is that a problem? Well, now we're talking about my heart or my liver, so my internal organs, my brain. Am I creating diabetes? And these are things that when you see the answer, right? It's by that point, it's like, oh no, I'm in a problem by the time I see it. I don't want us to believe mistakenly that because I'm not feeling something, it's not doing something. Because we know that it is, because these are toxins. I want you to think about something. The other part of this is if I do something just once in a while, the tolerance that my body has for it might be enough that I'm not reacting, still enough that I'm damaging. And I feel like, I could give you a million examples. Drinking is the easy one. The fact that even if I only go once in a while to the bar, that I can have two drinks and not be buzzed, where when I first ever touched a drink, one drink would have buzzed me. You need to think about the fact that that means that that has carried over weeks later, that you still have a tolerance. And that tolerance can be leading you down a bad path. So whether it's heart issues brewing, brain issues brewing, or cancer brewing, those things that we can't feel and we only know them when we're getting attacked by them, we should be paying more attention to them, because our health is the most important thing that we have. And that means we should be protecting our health beyond anything else. Protecting your health is the key, most important thing you will ever do. I think for any person, you have this I can't give up attitude, and it sticks with you for a little bit. I'm a person, right? It was in my head that, oh, like, right? Where does chips fall in? They're neither nutrient dense nor healthy. When you focus on nutrient dense, healthy foods, you end up in the space that Dr. Berg talks about. I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Berg. He's one of the doctors that talks about ketogenic diets. 7 to 10 cups of vegetables and salad per day, high fat, moderate protein. Honestly, he says it because it's so important that we need to do it. So does Dr. Barry say it. Vegetables, protein, fat. We don't need cookies. You don't need chips. What you need to do is eat nutrient-dense food and stop when you're satiated. And you eat again the next time you feel hungry. If you do that, you'll feel good. Okay, so I'm I'm carnivore now. So I wanted to just say that out loud and make sure that everybody knows I've stopped eating plants altogether, because I've learned that they're not good for you. Now, when I made this video, I was already saying not to eat fruits, and it comes in later videos. I was already there. Fruits, never need to eat them. I still felt like, and I was still eating vegetables in good amounts. I was eating vegetables when I made these videos. Now that I'm, 6.5 years later, I understand that it's not just the high carb count that matters, right? I had an interview with Dr. Chafee, and another one with Dr. Eid, and then another one with Sally Norton. And in those 3 conversations, it became abundantly clear to me that I no longer see the value in vegetables. And well, maybe I see the value in vegetables as a transition, getting us from the standard diet, right, to a healthier diet, for sure. And if you're keto, fine. I'm not saying that everyone has to be carnivore. I don't see the value for myself ingesting any vegetables because toxins and carbohydrates. At the same time, if living a keto lifestyle helps you to not touch the standard American diet, to not touch the ultra processed foods, that's the perfect reason to be keto, in my opinion, because it's going to keep you as healthy as you can possibly keep yourself. Maybe there's going to be some people who would try to do a carnivore lifestyle and then not be able to stick with it for multiple reasons. It could be that you fear missing out. It could be that it's just you can't manage the criticism of other people. There's lots of reasons that people in the presence of others eat carbohydrates, and then when they're on their own, they don't. I'm a big advocate for live your truth. If I don't do something at home, I don't do it when I go out. And if I like that to me, and if I wouldn't do that thing that I go out to do because it's not good for me, then I wouldn't do it at all. So I want you to consider that maybe living your truth is more important than what other people think. But if your truth is carnivore's too hard, if your truth is I don't feel good when I only eat meat, which I would also say maybe you're not eating enough fat. and that might be part of the problem. But if your truth is something that you personally are struggling with carnivore, yeah, keto is a absolutely healthy way of being. And I'll be honest with you, I started carnivore in February of this year, so 2024. I was feeling fine. There was not a reason for me to change what I was doing. I was feeling fine. I did it because what Dr. E, Dr. Chafee, and Sally Norton said made sense. That's why I did it. Did I see some improvements? I do feel like I feel even better, but these are nuances now. I did feel like my sleep again improved. I did feel like I just feel stronger. I feel like I'm just clearer. But as you move forward in life, you get used to feeling good. And so it just all just feels normal to me now. So, do I think that every person on the planet needs to be carnivore? No. But do I think that carnivore is the healthiest way to be? Yeah, I do. Everybody's going to make their decision. So, if you're happy keto and paying attention to your health, it's not just being happy there. It's not just about having fun with food, because standard American diet was fun too. And it was harming me. So, if you're feeling good, you're eating under 20 grams and feeling good and keeping your body healthy as you can, right? And there are no repercussions that you're noticing. You're going to the doctor and you are looking at your blood work and looking for the things that you should be looking for, and not, again, there's so much to this, and why I'm looking back at this video, because the number one thing that I realize is that the more I learn, the more I learn. And the more I learn, the more I want to learn, because that's how we're going to stay on top of our health. You're going to stay keto and you're going to be as healthy as you are going to be, and you're going to be fine. But if you notice anything, if your blood work starts to change, if you start to feel differently, please pay attention. Because I'll tell you that I was very happily keto. And then when I was paying attention, I removed some vegetables, and I got down to that, I got to a place where I realized that, oh, nightshades are doing something, right? We need to be able to notice when our body's asking us to look at it. And I don't think that we pay enough attention. Like when I very, very first started keto, I was doing 20 grams of carbs or less. And I was eating right up to the edge. And I was doing fine. I felt good. My body was good. I lost the weight. I was like months past losing weight. I was just maintaining right up to 20. And what happens? I start to feel inflammation and achy again. Turns out my number is not 20, it's 18. So what did I do? I didn't go down to 18. I believed my body that, riding the edge of this carb number, that trying to stay close to 20 caused me problems. Well, maybe trying to stay close to 18 will cause me problems. So I brought myself down to 10. And then I kept paying attention to myself, Wellness Warrior, because that's the way that I'm going to know that I'm doing okay. And when I kept paying attention to myself, guess what happened? I was surprised that my inflammation came back. And another time it happened was because I ate a small little piece of potato. Was that enough potato to put me over 20 or 18? No. That experience helped me to understand that, guess what? I have a problem with nightshades. And then I was surprised when cooking with coconut oil ended up causing, and then I found out I have a problem with coconut oil, as I said earlier, right? The damage to my skin. My body keeps showing me that there's stuff that I'm calling food that isn't food for me. right? Are you paying attention to the stuff that your body is trying to tell you isn't food for you? Right? Because your body's giving you signs. It's showing you by you not feeling good, or that you're tired, or that your skin starts to be different, or maybe your hair changes the texture or the amount, or like your body is giving you signs. When you get your blood work and it looks different, like dramatically different. I mean dramatically different. Your body is giving you signs. Am I listening? Or am I going along with the mainstream that says, "Oh, it's normal to eat junk food and it's normal to it's okay." And if I go along with the mainstream, I need to understand that the mainstream is being influenced by the companies that are selling us stuff to eat, and stuff to help us lose weight from what we're eating, and stuff to help us work out to lose weight from what we're eating, and stuff to, supplements because we're not getting all the nutrients because of the stuff that we're eating, the ultra processed, not real food stuff that we're eating. If we keep listening to the mainstream and eating these things that are not food to our body, then we will need these products that they're giving us, and eventually these medications, and eventually these procedures that they're giving us, because it's not real food. So if you would like to see the whole video and see all the points I made, because there was much more than this, but I just picked out the ones that I wanted to comment on. The video is on the screen and linked below. And by the way, I'm going to link another video that I think that YouTube thinks you're going to like. So you have an option there. Now let's look at the comments. And I'm going to frustratingly say that StreamYard is not showing me my comments. So you're going to bear with me, please, while I go over here and try to pop out my chat so that I can see it. Here we go. I can see it on a bigger screen. I'm not really sure why StreamYard is, what's going on there, but can I get it over here? Okay, that worked. Now I need to make it a little bigger so I can read it. These are the things that I do, Wellness Warrior, when I'm trying to talk to you guys. So let's see, that looks like, okay, that's big enough. And we scroll backwards. So unfortunately today, I don't think I'm going to be able to put anything on screen because I have to use the YouTube interface rather than using the StreamYard interface, which is frustrating. But we're going to make this work. So Pat, and I'm not sure if this is your first comment because this is what I'm doing, but hi Pat, first of all, if you need 2,000 calories, you should eat 2,000 calories, but limit your carbs to 20. I feel like you're answering somebody. So I really hope I'm not missing some comments now. Oh, I'm looking at top chat. That might be why. So let me back up a bit more. There's Pat's first message. Good morning. See, we're going to do the things. I'm going to figure it out. Let me put myself in the right spot. I'm going to figure it out. Hi, Pat. Okay, so Nuna H is saying, I have been low carb and low calorie and have not gone off it once. That's really, so low carb and low calorie? Ooh, Nuna, I would really encourage you to, what does it mean low calorie? Can you give me some context? Are you saying low carb and then, because if you're low calorie, that makes me believe that you're keeping your fat low as well. So I've been the same weight for 5 weeks. What the heck am I doing wrong? You're keeping your fat low, possibly. The original drop was 17 pounds, 20 to 30 total carbs. 30 total carbs is likely. I'm saying likely because what the doctors have helped me to understand is that most people who have weight to lose are insulin resistant. Therefore, if I'm insulin resistant, I would need to be under 20 grams of carbs per day. So the just reading this comment, Nuna, the first thing I'm going to say that if it was me, I would be making sure I'm eating enough fat. What that means is I want you to think about what my body does with fat. It builds me because fats are lipids, so it needs to build me. And yes, when we're losing weight, We are still building ourselves. We are rebuilding the healthy version of ourselves. So we need the lipids that our body is going to use to build us. So I would be aiming to eat, since you're doing low carb, eat to satiation rather than trying to eat low calorie. And I would make sure I keep my grams of carb under 20. Again, as I said in the video earlier, when we try to do low calorie, one of the biggest mistakes I see people doing is that they increase the carbs when they want to eat more rather than increasing the fat. And increasing the carbs puts your body back into storage mode. So what you've just done is you've eaten a bunch of carbohydrates that your body's going to put in fat storage. And so, yes, you're not going to lose weight. I hope that makes sense. Marco Trist, for my 50th birthday, I invited all to a hike on a nearby mountain. Oh, it's lovely. I love that. Half of the invited declined. The other half had a great time. However, it seems that you can't have fun together without food. I love doing the hike for the birthday. That was cool. Yes, of course, you're going to have those people who they declined because maybe they're not fit enough to go for the hike, unfortunately, which is sad. But it's still a great idea. Do something fun that you're going to enjoy for your birthday. I don't understand why that's not a thing. If you like hiking, then go for a hike. That's perfect. Let's see. So, hello, lady. I keep clicking on the I keep clicking on the comments because I'm trying to put them on the screen like I normally do in StreamYard. So I'm sorry, I keep blocking myself from being able to read them because I can't see them, because when I click on them, it's giving me a bunch of actions to like time out people and stuff. Lady Hot Tep, do you have to take supplements on carnivore? I can't afford to buy supplements. No, we don't have to take supplements on carnivore. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding that says that, first of all, that you need to take exogenous ketones, you need to take, like electrolytes. And some people will do better with electrolytes and some people won't, first of all. But second of all, every company has a different kind of formulation of what they put in their electrolytes. So even at that, even if I was going to say, sure, take electrolytes, I don't know what electrolyte would be good for you anyway, right? So my thought here and how I did my keto beginning, but you're on carnivore. So I started keto, and that allowed me to see that I could manage. But if you're carnivore already, then the thing that I would probably encourage you to do is, first and foremost, pay attention to how you're feeling. Are you, and if you're not on carnivore already, so please let me know, Lady Hotep, are you already doing keto or carnivore? Or are you asking this question because you want to try something? If you're trying something for the first time, please start keto. And I know I just said a whole thing about keto, but I think that the best thing you can do for yourself is transition slowly to carnivore. Not necessarily that it needs to be a year to get there, but what I think is important is get yourself out of the chase of sugar first. Because the number one thing that we don't realize is that we don't control how much sugar we eat, because we don't even know all the things that we eat that are sugar. So from the rice that you're eating, sugar, to the apples and the bananas, sugar, to the chocolate bars that you're eating, sugar. And we don't realize that all of those things are contributing to us chasing food. So the first thing I would say is, if you're just starting anything at all, please start with keto. Now, carnivore, my suggestion, I'm reading your next comment. I don't eat a lot of vegetables or fruit, just cauliflower, zucchini, broccoli, and lime. So you're doing keto. Thank you. I just saw the second part of this. So since you're doing keto, then my suggestion would be that you could keep yourself doing keto and transition when you feel, so drop one thing at a time and see if you feel okay. That'll let you know if you're missing any micronutrients. And if you do like organ meats, you could have some organ meats. Apparently, from what I'm understanding from Dr. Baker, we don't need organ meats. But some people, if they have an imbalance, could benefit from organ meats. This is what I'm understanding. So if you like organ meats, that could be just something that you have once in a while, and it helps you to keep some kind of balance. I'm also understanding from Nutrition with Judy that we can overdo the organ meats because organs have a lot of micronutrients. And so so the flip side of the coin is we don't want to have too much of them. And this is where things become, about balancing, about paying attention to how you feel and about your blood work and all the different things. So I hope that answers your question. If you have a follow-up question, you can let me know, lady. I would appreciate the like. Thank you, Pat, for reminding people. Hello, Lynn. I'm glad you were able to be here with us. So you've been carnivore for 2 years. Plants exacerbate my IBS and eczema. Can't have almond flour either. Any processed food is going to give us problems. And I really want people to understand that anytime you turn a plant into a flour, automatic processed food, whether it was an initially keto-friendly food or not, first of all, almonds, I learned, have extremely high amounts of oxalate, and so we should be avoiding them regardless. So not having almond flour, probably a good thing. And that the plants were exacerbating your IBS and eczema isn't surprising to me. I did an interview with Lee from Kent Carnivore, and the things that he lived, and then losing his larger intestine because doctors kept pushing him to eat fiber to keep his bowels moving well, even though the fiber and plants were what was causing his bowel problems. I do believe that we all, again, need to pay attention to how our bowels moving when we're looking at should we keep plants in our lives. And Lynn, I think you probably did the best thing you could do for yourself 2 years ago. I'm actually curious, can you give us an update? Like, how long did it take for the IBS and eczema to regulate? Have they regulated? Because another thing that I will point out that I learned from Dr. Chafee is that the spices that we use on our foods, that little bit that we still have there that we think, well, it's just a little bit of spice, we discount how important it is to let it go. And what he pointed out to me was that those spices are actually typically the most the chemicals in the plant that the plant is using as its defense, right? So we're taking the chemical that the plant is using to defend itself, and we're having it make our food taste fun. But then we don't understand why maybe even on a carnivore lifestyle, when all we have left are these spices, that we're still not doing well. So I'm kind of curious to know, Lynn, like, first of all, has everything regulated? But second of all, do you use spices? Are you only using salt? What's your situation? And if you're still having issues, might those spices be playing a role? Super fluty of naughtiness? That's an interesting name. My brother wants to see evidence of really old people that have been carnivore keto. Are there videos of this? Well, I think if your brother is interested in that, I know that there's some oh, how do you call them? Blue zones, and try, like, if you look at those in, like, oh my goodness, indigenous people, and like, go to the look at the people who investigate people who are living not the standard American diet lifestyle. They often talk about people living to 100 and beyond. So I think your brother could. I'm trying to think of the name, Pat. If you remember the name of any of those um, cultures that Dr. Nobe had talked to us about, it would be interesting to put one of them. I know the Inuit was one, that they are quite healthy and they don't eat, or they didn't eat processed foods. I know that we're squeaking our way up there, but the indigenous, so the native Inuit people that are still eating the original way do much better than we do, and they eat so much fat in their diet, um, and super healthy. So I'm just looking, Nuna, you're talking to Pat, but I just want to touch on this comment. You said, I am very low calorie. I find it hard to eat these days. So when we are eating and we have, you said, like 30 grams of carb in your diet. So, and now you've added to it under low, I'm low carb under 50. So when we're doing low carb, I need us to understand that I'm still taking in enough food product into my body to allow my body to be in this interesting place where I'm going to be storing fat. But at the same time, because I'm storing fat, but I'm low carb, I can still take some fat out of storage. So I'm in this weird place though where, especially if I get anywhere near 50. Now you said, you say you try to do 30, but 30 is still enough to keep me insulin resistant. So it's this interesting place where I'm eating low enough that my body still has access to some fat, but it's not taking enough fat off me. I don't believe it would be taking enough off me to be, to not let me be hungry. So when you're telling me, well, you have a hard, or you're telling Pat that you have a hard time eating these days, but I'm still getting in 30 grams of carbohydrate. Now it's making me wonder, what kind of carbohydrates are you eating? I feel like you did say something earlier. Let me go back and see what you said you were eating. I don't eat a lot of vegetables or fruit, just cauliflower, zucchini, broccoli, and lemon limes. So lemon limes, like, now my question is, how many lemons and limes are you having in a day? Because there is a good amount of carbs that could be in a lemon or a lime if you're having a whole one, question mark. But I'm also going to just jump over here and, like, zucchini and zucchini, cauliflower, and broccoli, if I'm eating large amounts, are going to help me to feel full for sure. It's because I can eat large amounts of that. But if I'm not eating the protein and fat that my body needs, very likely I'm going to be doing probably more than one meal a day in that scenario. Let me know, are you doing more than one meal a day? But I'm still going to be eating very small amount of calories. My body isn't getting what it needs. It's not going to let go. So our body is too smart to starve itself. So if there's not enough energy, first of all, coming in to support what my body wants to do, and so, like, for example, in my history of the planet, my body would have wanted to run around and catch animals to eat. If I don't have enough energy to do that, then my body is going to restrict the amount of energy that I'm able to use. So I'm not going to be as able to run around and do stuff as I would have been able, right? So I would really just encourage you, you probably need to readjust, make sure that you stay under 20 grams. So again, you're doing low carb, but it sounds like low carb worked at the beginning, as it did for me, by the way. Full transparency, when I started keto, I wasn't doing keto. I thought I was doing keto. I wasn't doing keto. When I actually, because I didn't have a scale, and so I wasn't tracking properly. And then when I actually bought a scale and started tracking, So just giving myself the same amount that I was giving for the few days before, and had lost some weight, by the way, and started tracking what was going on. I was like 70s grams of carbs. So I was losing weight, right? But getting the scale helped me to realize that, okay, but I'm losing weight, but I'm not in a ketogenic state, because I understood from the doctors to get into a ketogenic state, you need to be under 20, especially if you had weight to lose, which I did. All of that being said, I'm encouraging you to look at what you're putting on your plate and maybe just adjust yourself slightly, because you're not hungry, I believe, because you're getting enough energy from those carbs in to kind of keep you in this low energy state that your body has put you in, because you've dropped all your energy down so low. That's my guess of what's happening. And if I was in your situation, I would start eating more protein and fat, and I would like bring my carbs down to under 20 if I was in that situation. Did it again. Keep doing it. Sing it. Hello. Part 1. I am certain that I am refusing to sit in my feelings about my mother's passing. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. October 10th, 2021. Bouncing. You bounced, but went off like never have. Beef nachos. Feel like crap. Fasting today to reset. Before I go to part 2, I'm going to point out that whenever we overeat and then fast to reset, that's sort of like punishing ourselves. And I really encourage people not to punish themselves, because then we get into this bad place with ourselves where I'm a bad person because I ate. No. Did I eat emotionally? Sure, I did that. Can I work with myself about eating emotionally? If I would like to eat for health, let's focus on that. But I have a hard time when people, after some kind of cheat or something, then fast to reset. If you want to fast to reset as a part of your weekly way of being, which I've actually started doing, not fasting to reset, but like changing my calorie count dramatically to reset, do that. And fasting to reset is another great way to do it. Do that. Yeah, fast to reset. But I don't believe it's the best thing for our mental health that after I eat something I shouldn't have, I'm now punishing myself. We need to show ourselves care. We need to show ourselves love. We need to understand why we made the mistake. And punishing myself doesn't help me to understand why I made the mistake. So, part 2, you said, like Marquetrice, I need a plan. Yes, I agree. Was initially going out for coffee, ended up at a restaurant, usually say no and redirect. Didn't want to this time. Sick of failing, beating myself up. I need a plan for September 22nd, October 10th, 2025. Oh, for a plan for those months, to have a year to fortify my why. Okay. I don't know that it will take you a year to fortify your why. I think it's finding the why. And it's hard to find the why. Sometimes it's hard to find the why by yourself, by the way. Can I just point that out? That's why I'm doing the groups that I'm doing, where we can get together and talk about these things, because sometimes we need to hear other people's perspectives on what's happening so that we can figure out why we're doing the things that we're doing. So but I think once you know why you're doing it, and then why you're doing it, and what you actually want instead, I think it'll be obvious to you. And as you live it, that is what reinforces it. So let me point this out to you, Sing It. It's living this behavior that's keeping you in this behavior. Every time you eat off plan, you reinforce the fact that you're a person who eats off plan. So how do I help myself to eat on plan? I encourage you to look at that. And I think if you look at that, you'll find an answer. So let's see. So Nuna is, I keep clicking on him. I just lost my place. Okay, Lynn, started with keto, dialed down the carbs to advance to carnivore. Spices don't bother me, but I use mostly Redmond's real salt. So what is, I'm a question. I'm back. I'm stuck trying to figure out how much protein I need. Okay. So the part I'm just pausing on spices don't bother me. Does that mean that you have them? Question mark. And the second question, which I don't see the answer to, but maybe, I mean, I did just jump forward a bunch, so I don't know if you had answered me something before, but I'm not sure if you answered the question of, is the eczema and IBS resolved? In that case, yay. If not, like, there might be more to say about the spices. But so the question is, I'm stuck trying to figure out how much protein I need. So what I understood, it's need my cheat sheet here. Dr. Lehman. What I understood from Dr. Lehman is that when you, so women need 1 pound, so 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. So that's your muscles and your bones and like your lean tissue. No, it's not counting the fat. So what you want to do is find out what your healthy lean body mass would be, and then that's how much grams of protein you would aim for. Now, that 1 gram can be a little higher if you're a very active woman, and I think for men it was something like 1.5, and it can get up to like 2 if you're a very active man. So he gave some parameters, and he pointed out that the numbers that we used to get, like I think 0.6 or 7 for women and like 1 for men, was based on the minimum you need to stay healthy. Like the minimum, like not even to stay healthy, the minimum you need to not pass. Okay. And so basically, from learning that from him, I'm like, well, I don't want the minimum to not, I want to have a good amount that helps me to live my life the way that I want and do the things I want to do. So I increased the amount that I was eating. Here's the thing. These are the things that we need to understand. If you overeat protein, well, your body will store it the same way that if you overeat fat, your body will store it the same way that if you overeat carbs, which overeating carbs is eating any, your body will store them. So in-carving carbs, automatic storage, and overdoing the other two, automatic storage. It's important for us to know how much, for sure. But then the other piece of this puzzle is, if I'm doing carnivore, am I able to listen to my body? So I'm understanding that some people have a hard time, that they were so used to ignoring when their body told them they were hungry versus not hungry. Like that whole conversation just doesn't go well. If that's you, you might have a hard time just trusting your body that, oh, it's time to eat versus it's not time to eat. My suggestion is test that first. Like if I get up in the morning and I eat when I get hungry, so I feel a sensation of hunger, is that as soon as I step out of bed? So is it I think food, then I'm hungry? Or is it, no, I can get up and I can think about food, but I'm not hungry yet, so then I'm not eating? This is a question mark, because I think a lot of us are so used to thinking food and then getting food that we don't realize that we're not actually hungry. Now, if I'm doing that, then part one is, what happens if I don't eat immediately? Do I stay hungry the whole time? If I drink some water, do I stay hungry the whole time? I would probably drink some water just to verify, am I hungry, or is this a thirst request? Because our body's signal for water and for food is the same. So maybe my body's just asking me for some water. It's testing these things, is talking to yourself about the reality of what you're trying to accomplish, because what we're trying to accomplish is healthy eating, healthy living, healthy body, having fun, doing activities, eating good tasting meals, but the meal isn't the highlight of my day. The highlight of my day is the people that I was around and the things that I did, right? And for me, the highlight of my day often is what I learned today. I love learning new things. You are going to figure out what your highlight is going to be. But what I'm just pointing out right now is part one is how much protein I need, and making sure that I'm eating enough and not overdoing it is comes into this. There's a range, right? And there are going to be some days where you're going to be hungrier, by the way. Like there are some days where I'm hungry much earlier than usual. And then there are other days where sometimes I just don't eat that day because I got to the end of my day and I'm just like, wow, I just don't want anything. Most days I eat. But when either of those two extremes happen, I let it happen. If I feel hungry earlier, so I cook earlier. If I can. Sometimes I'm at work and I eat at the normal time just because I was at work. But if I don't feel hungry that day, I don't force a meal. I go to the next day, and very likely I'm going to eat earlier that evening. I hope that answers your question, Lynn. But if you have more to that, you can definitely follow up with me. Joe Dean Geiger. I ate carnivore for 6 months. Was doing great. Got super stressed out with work and took a flying leap off the wagon. Oh, now I'm having trouble getting back on. Any suggestions? So you started. So when you say you took a flying leap off, Joe Dean, does that mean you went back to standard diet? Because if you went back to standard diet and you're struggling to go right back to carnivore, doing keto in the middle might help. And keto is better than standard diet. If you went back to keto, then I would probably suggest I'm ketoing and just have a carnivore day once in a while. So, maybe just pick a day. It doesn't even matter what day. Maybe one of the days you're not feeling like cooking, just make the meat and only eat that. The other thing that I'm going to point out, and you said you did it for 6 months and you were doing great. So I'm assuming then that you knew how much meat you were supposed to be eating and you were eating enough fat and everything was going well. I would try my best to meal plan myself a few carnivore days where the meal that I'm going to have is prepared. So like I'll have my meat already defrosted in the fridge and ready to go so that when it's time to make the meal, I'm good. I don't have to work and like break my brain too much. I think that when we go off, and you said yes, carbs, the whole thing. Okay. I think that when we go off, the reason that it's hard for us to get back in is because we're trying to do it 100% rather than you were stress eating. Okay. You're trying to do it 100% rather than allowing myself some space to show myself that I can actually do it. Now, again, I think if you do keto first so that you have some carb on your plate, it might help you to at least see that, okay, I can eat healthy because this is better than standard diet for sure. And a lot of people have a lot of success and live their entire lives keto, and they just move forward keto, and it works. So I'm not trying to say that keto is not a landing spot. It is. So I just want to make sure I say that. But you were doing carnivore. I would do keto with carnivore days. And then, and the minimum what it's going to do for you, Jodine, is it's going to stop you from doing the high carb thing that's putting weight back on your body, that's reintroducing all these toxins, that's causing you to be very chasing after sugar, I'm sure. It's going to slow that part down so that I would definitely, and when you do carnivore, you don't have to do this, but now that if you're going to do keto, you need to check you're under 20 grams, which means you need to weigh those those vegetables that you're eating before you put them on your plate. Make sure that the carb count, when you put it in the calculator, is falling under 20 for the day. Now, if you're really off the rails, try to get under, 75, 50 to begin with, just to get yourself started in the right direction. And then, but I would, as quickly as I can, get under 20 so that your insulin resistance can settle back down. And then I'm 99.9% sure that as soon as you get to the spot where you are where your insulin resistant is settled, so like when your keto state gets back to being itself, because when you were doing carnivore, you were in a keto state. So when your body's back to being in a keto state, those carnivore days probably will just take over, right? But while you're waiting for that to happen, doing one day carnivore and then knowing that tomorrow you're going to have some carb kind of helps you to wait till tomorrow. And so you're telling me that you try to stay under 10. Okay. I do think that would be a process that I for sure would do if I was trying to get myself back into if I fell off carnivore and I was trying to get back on. Please come back next week, Monday, because I'm live every Monday, and your name is new to me. Come back next week and let me know how that turned out for you. I'd love to know. So let me back up here. I saw Sing It had something to say. I don't feel like I'm punishing myself by fasting. Totally scientific. Need to clean up and carry on from here. Okay. So if you don't, and this is one of those tricky things. If I don't think that I'm doing it to punish myself, then theoretically I could have done it 2 days from now rather than the day after some kind of cheat. I'm saying this not because that's not the sentiment that you're having right now. You're looking back and you don't think that you're punishing yourself. I'm saying it for you to look at, do I typically, after some kind of cheat, fast? Because if that's the pattern that I've created, then it might not be a punishment. It might be a cleanup. It might be, but then I've created a pattern that now I'm living. That means that I will keep cheating. So regardless of like why that's happening, you want to correct that it's happening, right? The cheat was Saturday, and we are Monday. So you cheat Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so it was a day away. Okay. I'm just pointing it out because I feel like if it's something that you do often, I would be looking at it. Because we don't want to give ourselves permission to eat off plan. And sometimes these I can clean up later become sneaky reasons why we end up eating off plan when we don't feel good. Because in the back of my mind somewhere, I have it noted that, but I can clean up later. And right. So just it's something to pay attention to. Lynn says, IBS and eczema are gone as long as I stay off the fiber and plants. Okay. So basically, and that's normal. So I'm going to pause here because I feel like, again, this whole idea that I spoke about, that we think that if we're healed, then I can start eating the thing and and it's not going to impact me. No, it is impacting you. If I was absolutely totally healed, all that would mean is that the impact is slowly happening again. However, now that my body understands what will happen if I eat these things, my signs are going to come to me faster. I think that my body learns very quickly. And so therefore is going to show me faster the next time, it's both ways, by the way. When I eat off plan in a way that makes me feel bad, it shows me really quick. But when I eat off plan in a way that gets me hooked, it hooks me very quick. Both sides of that coin are there. So for those of us who chase, whether it's sugar or drinking or video games or gambling, or if we chase something and we do all the work and energy to get it out of our lives and then allow it back in, guess what happens? It's back in. So I definitely think that it's important for us to understand that that's normal, right? If I touch a plant and I get that reaction, it's because I'm not supposed to touch plants. And that's my body just saying, hey, stop doing that. Thank you, Sing It. I appreciate that the advice you felt was good. I actually go by Jody. Oh, okay, Jody. I will try to remember that if you come back. more into the stream often, then I'll definitely get it in my head eventually. Nice to meet you, Jody. Yeah, totally get it. Damage done cannot be fasted away. Resetting and working it out to be ready for by next year. Gotta work this out. Perfect. Like I mentioned, I like working with people and walking through these ideas because when we're talking together, like that's when I can really talk to that specific, like your specific situation. So it's definitely something that for anybody who is looking to work with me or someone, it's like I think it's about realizing that it's talking it through that helps us to like really walk forward. And everybody's specific situation is different, right? Anyways, the links to the group is below. So it looks to me like we're at the end of our comments and our chat because, which is good actually, because today is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody who's in Canada. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. And I'm going to go and celebrate with my family since there are no more questions. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I want to see you next Monday. We're going to do another live stream next Monday and talk about something else. Watch the video that's linked, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye, everybody.